Welcome to Big Fight Weekly, episode 60. And boy, oh boy, do we have a big, massive interview for you. Not only am I with myself, but I've got my new mutual co-host with me, the legend Don McGuire. And not only do we have the legend Don McGuire, we have an icon, a pioneer, massive mainstay in the world of mixed martial arts, Matt Hughes.
Hello, everyone. Not tell you have two reasons to be on this podcast.
Well, no one has a choice in this podcast. You just get brought in no matter what.
You have to. Why are you here? What are the two reasons you're here?
Myself and you.
Well, how are you on here for me? Explain to everyone why you're on here for me.
Why am I? Well, I don't know. It's just turned into your podcast now. I'm here because I want to tell your story, not just about your life. I don't want to tell people about your MMA. Oh, hold on, go on.
Don't let him fool you. He's on here to make me look better, be better looking.
Oh, I love it, man. I love you, Matt.
Any little helps, Matt. Any little helps.
Tell me about it.
Matt, I want to go on, Don. Bye.
I was just going to say, Matt, I really appreciate you doing this show with Big Fight Weekly out of the UK. You've been a tremendous motivator in my life. You've been a tremendous inspiration in my life. And the thing of it is I don't think the sport has truly given Matt Hughes all the acclaim that you truly have earned. I look at the story of Matt Hughes, and of course, me and you are brothers. You've been on my show many times. I've been part of your career. But I want to start off today's show by just saying thank you so much for what you've done for the sport, the fans, and people like me that are considered legends in the sport. I don't hold a candle to you because what you truly have done in this sport is second to none. And I'm not trying to fluff you up or anything. I greatly admire what you've done for me, my listeners, and now conjoining with me to the UK to make your voice even heard more around the world. I truly think it's an opportunity that we're humbled to give you, brother.
Well, thank you, but I'm doing nothing special. I'm just being me.
I know, brother. I know. Chris, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, Matt, I just want to start right from the beginning. You were a prolific wrestler in school and you made your career there. But what galvanized you and what pushed you forward to become a mixed martial artist? What gave you that push, that started the stardom and the masterclass that you brought to this world of mixed martial arts?
I was coaching college wrestling, and I was there just coaching, not competing myself, and I didn't like that, so I took MMA up just as a way to compete. I didn't know I'd be good. I just want to beat someone as something. So my first fight was in all girls Catholic school in Chicago, Illinois, for $100, and I liked it, so I kept going, kept climbing the ladder.
Don?
Matt, I want to touch on something, bro, because we talked about this on my show, and I want the world to know this story. Even though my show is worldwide, I want this new audience to understand. You and I both have been in the sport for a very long time, and we both have a tremendous brother in Burt Watson. Last weekend, I was with him in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I did something that I probably shouldn't have done. I walked around calling him Elmer, and because of the story that you told on the show, and he just looked at me and goes, "You've been talking to Matt again, haven't you?" And I said, "Yeah," and he goes. Now I got to deal with two people calling me Elmer in the sport. I just died. But he said to tell you, go ahead.
But but really is that guy. When we went to the show and had any problem at all, we always go to Bert and ask him. So I say I call him Elmer because he's the glue that holds everything together.
Yeah, and he's a tremendous man in his walk. Now I got an opportunity to work with him again in bare knuckle fighting with BYB, and it was tremendous to see my brother. This is the first time I got to see him 2.5 years, and we saw each other when he was walking out of the hotel. I just got back into Gulfport, Mississippi, and he turned around and he goes, "Baby, is that you?" And I said, "Yeah, baby." And he just turned around and gave me the biggest hug. And you know, that's one thing I relish about the days that we came up in, Matt, because true relationships were created, true relationships. And, I don't know that you realize that I shot quite a few of your fights back in the day. But I do know you realize that I've interviewed you multiple times. What you've brought to this sport is tremendous. And I love your sense of humor. I love the aspect of gratitude that you still have for everybody in life. But overcoming an adversity is an issue that we all strive to go against. The thing about with me is I now have what they call pharyngeal paralysis. And, it's kind of a situation like you went through. I had a trach, and they had to go in and do some stuff, and they caused some vocal cord damage. And so, I'm getting ready for a surgery on my throat to get some stimulators put in. But the thing about you, Matt, I use you as guidance. I use you to pick myself up because you're an inspiration. Look at your shirt. It says overcoming. You truly have overcome many obstacles in your life. Matt, you're a man after my own heart. When I was on my knees a few weeks ago dealing with this issue, I went back and I watched the show that we did last. And you helped me get off my knees, brother. You helped me stand up, and you helped me realize that this is just a bump in the road. What is it that gives you that heart, that passion to inspire others to move forward, Matt?
Well, I'm just trying to keep myself put in the right direction. So I'm not trying to inspire anyone else. I'm just trying to inspire myself to take one more step. So other people don't have anything to do with it. I'm just trying to be the best person I can be.
And we love you for it, brother.
Most
Chris?
definitely. Matt, yeah, we obviously Don touched on about the inspiration that you bring to people. You inspired me, and obviously I don't do mixed martial arts. I watch it from afar here in the small country of Wales. But I watched you over the years because I was a lot younger when you were fighting, and you inspired me because you fought everybody. You fought the best. You learned some lessons along the way. What would you say to fighters who have watched your fight and want to become mixed martial artists themselves and want to push on and galvanize themselves to reach the level that you reach? What would you say to people like that?
My motivation for fighting was for the love of the sport. I wasn't fighting for a paycheck. I fought because I love being competitive. So find an avenue to be competitive and use that to be the best at whatever that is. But I think the guys nowadays, I think they fight for a paycheck, and that I would say is the wrong the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Don, and I think you would agree with that as well. Really, we don't see your era fighters. I think that's long gone now. Yeah, okay, a lot of them train fully as a mixed martial arts. You don't just see a single wrestler come in now, do you? It's a facet of every skill set now. but it's not the way you guys fought because you wanted to fight. It wasn't for a paycheck, as you say, or the bonus at the end of the fight if you could get it. But you're inspiration, and I think people should look back at you and everybody else in your generation, and really more focus on that side, because you guys brought it and it was exciting, and you knew that you guys were true artists and not fake artists.
I'm so glad. I thought when guys got together to watch the UFC, because I was on maybe once every 2 months, and now it seems like it's on every couple weeks, and I just think it's so saturated now. When I thought it was only once in a while. So I thought in the prime of fighting, now it's just saturated.
It truly is oversaturated, Matt. Matt, can I take you back? Oh, thank you, Aaron James East. He says three legends. I want to take you back, Matt, if I can, to a situation, because you were there. A lot of people understand the situation. I've dealt with many legends that were there in the alley that day. What is your thought process looking back now with the situation with Lee Murray? Do you think he should have been ousted out of the UFC, or do you think it was a situation that Tito caused that didn't need to be?
I think it was a situation to cause. I don't think Lee was just being a typical man. He didn't. I didn't. I didn't see the situation, but what I understand, it was not. It was not right.
No, it wasn't. And I think they ruined a great man's career that day. And I know Monty Cox, Pat Miletich, and a lot of people that were correlated with the situation. And Lee Murray, of course, went on to do horrific things in his life, but he was a tremendous warrior, and nobody can take that from him. Matt, last time I had you on the show, we talked about your three fights with George St. Pierre, and then I went on to call you the Gracie Killer, and I know you don't like that name, but what you brought to the sport was prevalent, and even to this day, young fighters that are realizing that you need more than jiu-jitsu, you need more than kickboxing, that wrestling is a prevalent part to create the future. When you first came into the UFC, you dominated, and you were a pioneer of bringing wrestling into the sport. Now, when you sit back, even though the sport is saturated, how much gratitude do you feel in your heart knowing that most of the fighters now have a wrestling base in the sport, and it's taking them to new heights, but it's only because they followed the path of Matt Hughes?
Uh, I've always been my worst critic, so I don't see that I've really done that much. Yes, people have got smarter with the fight game, but it's not because of me. A good coach will tell you that with the wrestling you can control someone, and that's not me. That's just the the game.
Yeah. One more question before I pass it to Chris. I know you don't like this situation with, Hoist Gracie, but, when you look at what transpired with, the polar bear Paul Verlins, my true brother who passed away this last year and a half ago. And, you look at other people that came up in the ranks at the same time, like Todd Medina, Justin McCauley, and others. When you came onto the scene, it was a breath of fresh air. What did it feel like for Matt Hughes to get that first opportunity in the sport that you love, brother?
Are you talking about my first UFC fight or my first fight in all.
Yes.
My first what?
And like, before the UFC, no holds barred, things of that nature. Because, a lot of people don't, they think that you became when the UFC became, but you were actually, long before the UFC. So take me to a great moment from those days, brother.
I had my first fight in 1997, and I fought, like I said, in a small girls Catholic school in Chicago. But after I got that win, his name was Craig the Terminator Quick, and I couldn't Craig the Termite afterwards. Just he he was a big karate guy, and I knew as a wrestler when I got close enough to him, I was going to take him down and beat his ass on the ground.
I love it, Chris.
Matt, let's obviously as we're talking MMA fights, explain to me about your story and history of BJ Penn, because you have a story which with him with the three fights you've had. If you'd like to sort of go into some bit of detail with your first fight to your second fight you had with BJ Penn, and let's forget about the third one because that never happened. But is there anything you'd like, you could sort of tell us about the whole sort of the hatred you had, if we call it hatred within that?
Uh, uh, I wouldn't say I hated BJ Penn, but BJ was just he was. I wish he was in better shape, but he was so he was so limber, and that I didn't like that a bit. I could I power him and move him, but he was so limber. He could take his foot and put it behind his head, and that really kind of freaked me out. But he was, like I say, needed to be in better shape. He was so technical, and my theory was when I fought BJ, my muscle will overcome technique, but sometimes it doesn't.
Well, they were classic matches, but you did get him back in the second fight to after he left UFC when he beat you in that fight. Then and you learned that lesson, and you came back in that second one and taught him a lesson. And I must say, without, as Don would say, fluffing you, it was fantastic. It was fantastic to watch because he went away and did his kickboxing. And he comes back where you're still a mainstay in the welterweight division and you're still plowing yourself through these people. So to get that one back, that must have been, fantastic feeling for you.
It sure was. Anytime I can go back and take a loss off my record is a big day for me.
Don?
Matt, you and I have so many brothers in common, but I want to take you back because there's people that inspire us and then we grow and we move on. But back in the early days, what brought you to Miletich Fighting Systems? What correlated the brotherhood with Pat Miletich? What was it about him that had you go to his school and utilize some of his tutelage?
I met Pat at my first fight because he Pat he was the referee. And so in the fight he was telling me what I couldn't do. And after the fight he said, "Matt, come to my gym. I'll make you a world champion." So I didn't think that was gonna happen, but he in my area of probably 10 hours. Pat was only 3 hours away. He was by far the best gym. So I went there because it was only a 3 hour drive.
Matt, you're forever cemented into history. You're forever going to be an icon and a legend of the sport. You know, I like to do things in paraphrases and different aspects, as you know, from coming on my show. But I don't think enough people give Matt Hughes, the man, enough credit. They want to give Matt Hughes the fighter. They want to give Matt Hughes the personality that they per se see on TV. But brother, what you've given to people through humility, not as a warrior, but as a man, is second to none. What sits in the heart of Matt Hughes that has you giving back so much to society, to individuals, because you're a truly compassionate man?
My theory has always been, if you get a fan that comes up and wants a picture or autograph, give it to him, because that man wrote my paycheck. So their lives see our paper you buy went trickled into my pocket.
Yes. You know, hey, Chris, take me out for a second. My cat's having an asthma attack. I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just me and you, Matt.
Is he a cat man?
Yeah, he is. He's got two cats. I think one's called Stella and I can't remember what the other one's called now. Tay Tay, I think it was, he said. I'm a dog man myself, personally.
We're alike there.
I have 3 Shih Tzus. Actually, while we're here, I'll show you my other animal here. They're literally sitting next to me. Oh, bugger. Just give me a second. My camera's having a wobbly. There we go. Just change it round now. There we go. Can you see?
It's a Shih Tzu.
No, that's a tortoise. Look, he's just popping his head out there. Look.
I see it now.
And then this one here. My Shih Tzus are they're upstairs because they like to bark all the time when I do shows. So I have to sort of keep them away from anything live.
I'm sorry, but a Shih Tzu is not really a dog. It's more of a cat.
You can't say that. They're lovely little dogs.
I sure can.
I apologize for that. My cat has asthma, so she came right in front of me and started having an asthma attack. So I apologize to the listeners. I apologize to you, Matt. You know, Matt, you've left a profound impact on me. And like I said, you know, even though you don't feel you inspire people as much as you do, I just had my 246th surgery. And I look at each interview that we've done, and brother, I got to tell you, you help pick me up every time. And see, I think that's what this world needs right now. And in a world full of hate, we truly need to inspire one another. We need to help one another. And you've been so gracious in helping me on my path. If you could put into a sentence how grateful you are to give back and to have the walk that you have now, what would that message be, my friend?
Well, I've had a rough last 6 years. So with that, I would say to myself, God puts the biggest strain on his toughest soldiers. So that's what I keep in the back of my mind. God put this on me because he knows I can handle it.
Brother, you can handle anything. You know, the thing of it is you, like I was saying before, my cat has the asthma attack. You've inspired people. You've helped create the sport. You've helped build the sport. You're a trailblazer. What does it mean for Matt Hughes to know that not only did you create a legacy for you and many others, but what does it mean for Matt Hughes to be cemented in the history books as, and I know, hold on, I know you don't like this. I know you don't like this, but hey, bro, you talked about, not being, you don't like being called a legend. I had to learn too. You talked about, having to take pictures with people. Well, Elmer got up my rear end recently, and he told me, "Don't you ever let me see you not take a picture. Don't you ever, walk away from a fan, because they are who created you. Their perception of you is that of a legend." And I've been in this industry for 37 years, and it's hard because I'm just a man that went to work, did my job, and I never expected any titles, any awards. We half the time we didn't even get paid back in the early days, and so for Elmer to get up my behind and Jacob Stitch Duran to get up my behind, I understand your thought process. Those are the people that made us. So even though you and I don't look at ourselves as legends, people do. So what would you like to say? Because if we don't acclaim that, if we don't take stake in that, then we're doing a disservice to our fans. We're doing a disservice to the people that truly appreciate us. And brother, people call me a legend, and I don't feel like I'm rightfully a legend. But I've been in your career forever. I've watched what you've done, and you've done much more out of the cage for people than you'll ever realize. So really, and not in the context of a warrior, but in the context of a man, what does it mean to Matt Hughes knowing that you cemented your family's name in the history books? Come on, Matt.
Matt Hughes would say, I don't think it's there.
Oh, that's why I love you, bro. That's why I love you, because you're so humble and genuine.
I'm general, but I don't think I'm humble. You just catch me on a good day.
Chris,
What's a bad day, Matt, like then?
You don't want to know, bro.
Give me a rundown.
It's quick because I get up, look in the mirror, and look how ugly I am. I cuss at that mirror all day long.
I must be making you look like George Clooney at the moment, then, yeah.
Oh. Me too. Look at my old scraggly ass. Matt, you're a very damn good looking man.
Well, I'm compared to him, so I agree.
I just pull myself off screen now, shall I?
If I say we're having some technical difficulties, and just blur yourself out.
Man, I do have I do have a question to ask you, Matt, that I think you will be forthwith with on me. Glover Teixeira was told that he was too old. He was told that he would never become a world champion. He needed to retire. And ultimately, he became the world champion. And now he's stating that he has 2 fights left that he wants to do, and then he's going to step away from the sport. If you had a brief moment to give Glover Teixeira some words of wisdom, what would those words be, mate?
It kills me. I went out on a loss, so I say find someone you can beat him, and then retire right after. Don't be the athlete that keeps fighting and loses 2 or 3, and then he's out on a loss. Find one you can win it, and go out, because it's. I hate the fact that I lost my last fight.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I don't look at them as losses. I look at them as lessons. And a lot of people say, Don, that's a weird way to look at it, but you know who James Krause is, right? The UFC fighter. And he was interviewed one time, and he said, how these shows can be. They go, what's it like to be 22-7? And James says, I'm not 22-7. I'm 22-0 with 7 lessons learned. And to me, that's a tremendous analogy, because if you call it a loss, it kind of takes away from the fighter, from the sport. Personally, I don't like records, because when that cage door closes, it could be anybody's fight. Whoever's hungrier that night. But the thing of it is, you created greatness. You came into this sport and you accomplished things that still to this day many fighters can't do. And I know you're going to give me crap about me saying this again, because you always do, but the Gracies were unstoppable. The Gracies were unstoppable until Matt Hughes came into the UFC. And I know you don't like the name the Gracie Killer, but how humbling was it for Matt Hughes to go in there, because you were the underdog in a lot of people's eyes, but you went in there and you showed Royce Gracie what true ability was about. What did that moment mean to you, not only as a warrior, Matt, but as a man?
Well, as you know, as the fight starts, we hit the ground, and I think he's gonna pull some magical move off. I've never heard or seen it before, and he was gonna stop the fight. Then, as time goes on, I realized this old man's got nothing for me. I was too athletic for him, so he being in his 80s really killed him.
I love you, homie. I just do.
Well played. Well played.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he does this to me on my show, bro. It's like he don't even. The first time I interviewed Matt a few years back, he was like, and I called him a Gracie Killer. I don't even like that name. But the thing of it is, Matt, you created so much greatness, and what you've done is phenomenal. I mean, I've had thousands and thousands of fighters in my life, but you're special, bro. And like I said in the beginning, I'm not trying to fluff you, because I don't do that. If I don't like you, I'm going to tell you. I've thrown Colby Covington off of my show because he's ignorant. I don't take anybody's garbage in life, but you, my man, you've instilled passion in me and others, because there's times that I wanted to give up. There's times that I didn't want to get up and go do what I needed to do, but I look at the walk of Matt Hughes, and it changed me. Matt, let's say you're on bended knee right now, and you're putting that stone down on the new path of Matt Hughes. How glorious is that stone moving forward in the life of Matt Hughes? How much relevance do you see in the world now, knowing that you're still moving forward, brother?
I like the fact that I'm moving forward, because I like helping people in every way. So I do some motivation talks for churches and stuff now. So I'm glad I can get the word out there and just say, whatever you're dealing with, making an accident or a stroke, medicine is so good now. Get your medicine and get better, because the big man upstairs can fix everything.
I have to agree with you. Like I told you earlier, I've been through 246 surgeries in the last 30 years. And, my Lord and Savior is my inspiration. And I want to clarify this for everybody, because people around the world have different thought premises on religion and things of this nature. And, when I speak about my Lord and Savior, and you speak about your Lord and Savior, that's our walk. And we don't mean to discredit anybody else's religion. We don't mean to say anything. This is just our thought, our heart, our aspect, but I look at your shirt, and every time you come on my show, you always have a shirt that says a message, and it's heartfelt. So what does overcoming truly mean to Matt Hughes?
when you find yourself in a problem, just overcome it or get around it and continue life the 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 way you want to go.
Chris?
No, that's perfect.
tremendous.
That's perfect. I think everything you've been through. You are someone, I think, like Don said, is that you can look at and really think that I can't do this today. But then they look at you, Matt Hughes, and go, if Matt Hughes can do it, I can do it too. And again, that's not me also fluffing up your arse. I don't do things like that. Myself and Don are very similar in the way that I'll say how I feel. Again, if I don't like you, I pretty much tell you myself. But you are an inspiration. I look back at everything I've done and all the trials and tribulations I've had to go through. I'm only 36 years old, but I've been through a fair few things that have challenged me. But and I look back at your career and your life, and I find it so inspiring. It's brilliant, mate, and it's been such an honor to sit on the screen and actually speak to you than ever just watching you beat the hell out of someone in the octagon.
I give my address. You can send me the $500 you owe me for this talk when it get done.
I love you, Matt.
You might get a bit more actually, mightn't you? Because the pound's higher than the dollar.
500 American, please.
I love you so much, Matt. I love you, bro. You just kill me. Go ahead, Chris.
Honestly, I look back now, and when I look at your career, and we talk about Matt Hughes in his prime, what does Matt Hughes look at the welterweight division and look at it now? Does Matt Hughes in his prime look at the fighters that are in, say, the top 5 now, and does he feel like Matt Hughes in his prime could go on and beat these people that are currently in the top 5? Could Matt Hughes go beat the likes of Kamaru Usman?
That's a stupid question.
I'm just asking it. Come on.
Well, I'm just telling you it's stupid. When I was fighting in my prime, I was ranked pound for pound the toughest guy in the whole world.
I know.
Yeah. So, Don, tell this guy to stop asking stupid questions.
Chris, he's only playing with you, Matt.
No. I'm going to.
Matt has a beautiful sense of humor, but it is.
Fine.
The thing of it is Matt right now could go into the top 5 in the UFC and just take these guys out like a wet paper towel, bro. The thing about it is people really don't realize Matt still trains to this day. Matt still, he's 100%, if not better now than he was 10 years ago. The thing of it is now he's got inspiration. Now he's got faith. Now he's got the aspects to overcome. And I tell you, when you put those 3 factors together, Matt can't be stopped. If he was to walk into the cage right now, I don't think there is anybody in his division currently that fights in the UFC, Bellator, PFL, or any organization that could beat Matt Hughes. And I'll go out on a limb and say that because I know Matt personally. I know his regimen. I know what he does. And I mean, I think he looks sharper today than he did 10 years ago.
I have bad news. 5 years ago, this June 16th I was hit by a train. So without that train, I'd be in there right now because I was planning on fighting again. But that train changed a lot. So they say if I get the wrong concussion, I could die. So they will. I couldn't pass a physical exam right now. So those guys in there are very lucky.
Yeah, they're very, very lucky.
You definitely pass a comedian by the exam code, couldn't you?
Just because you're ugly? Is that why you say that?
Yeah, it probably is. Just enjoy looking at my face for the next 10 minutes.
I keep just staring at you.
Do you want me to start winking for you?
Hey, Matt, I love this kid. the thing of it is Matt, you know me. When I find somebody that is doing great for the sport, somebody that has the talent to carry my torch and your torch into the future, that's what I see in Chris. Chris, we're just busting your chops. You know that. We're just giving you a bad time.
I'm from the UK. What do you think we always do to each other?
He's busting chops. I'm kind of being serious.
I love you too, Matt.
But he really is, Matt. He really is a young man that I've taken under my arm, and he's very talented. He really is, and I really wanted him to do this with you because I wanted you to see how eloquent and how much faith I have in this young man. See, it's like with you. You look at other fighters and you see their greatness. And that's what I've done in this sport for 37 years. I see somebody that I believe in, and I want to create the future of the sport. I don't want this sport to ever go away. And what I've seen in Chris Hume is a young me. And so, I'm creating opportunities for him to show the world who he is. And I forgot to tell Chris about your sense of humor. I'm used to it by now because I've known you for a long time. But the thing of it is he really is the future. He's a tremendous young man, and he's so eloquent. And I don't take time. I'm like you. If I don't see relevance in somebody, I'm not going to give them the time of day. But with that being said, he is ugly.
But that makes guys like me feel better.
I hope it does. Makes me feel better also.
Chris, on the real, me and Matt will stop joking with you, but brother, go ahead and ask some eloquent questions because you truly are a tremendous bloke on your walk, and I love you, man. You're the same age as my son, but I have ultimate belief in what you do. So go ahead and run the show, my brother.
I don't know. I think I'm too ugly to run this show now. I have to find myself a Mexican wrestling mask when I just sort of sit behind the camera with it on.
Chris, can you do me a favor?
Yes, maybe.
Get yourself right in front of the camera so people can see your face. So I look a little better.
Okay, you ready? You ready?
Oh my gosh.
All right, Chris.
It's fine, Matt. I love you too, mate. It's okay. It's okay to say it, You just let the love out. Matt, before we let you go, is there anything you look back on your career as a whole now? I'm talking everything, and wish you could have done something better?
Besides my losses, there at one time, I think Evan Tanner was a middleweight champion, and I talked to Dan about maybe me and him fighting. I was going to try have a two-weight class at one time, but he lost the title right after I was talking about that. But that's one thing I think would have been cool for me. If I fought Evan Tanner at 185, I was going to weigh in at 170.
Really?
I was just to make it stand for me being the welterweight champion.
Yeah. There's actually, while we're on that subject, then what's your sort of feelings where you see in UFC now, where you see multiple two-weight division champions or champion versus champion? Obviously, you've done it yourself. You fought BJ Penn when you're both champions. But what do you see it is it now when you see a guy go up facing the heavyweight and etc.? Do you see it's more of a farce now, more of a money grab than an actual someone deserving to face the next person up in the division because they cleared them out?
I really don't follow the fighting like I probably should, but I just don't find it that interesting anymore. I guess I've been there and done that.
Yeah. We should keep an eye on a lot of the UK scene, Matt, because they're firing at all cylinders. They're not the same fighters you saw back in the day. These guys from the UK now, they are much more advanced and much more wiser and got much better skill set. We're tackling wrestling now, so you see a Brit over in America, and they can actually handle, a decent wrestler. We're not talking collegiate wrestler. We're not talking Matt Hughes level of wrestling, but they are getting better. Where the guys who used to come through from the UK, we could strike really well, but when we bumped into a wrestler, we would get taken down, and that would be the end of the fight then. But what you're seeing now is the new generation of UK MMA coming through it. And like I said, it's a whole different show now.
Where are you from again?
I'm from a little country in the UK called Wales.
So you're from the UK, bracket on the UK.
Well, no, we are.
Yeah.
Just in the corner, just sort of shoved in the corner.
Okay. You being from the UK, bracket on the UK, doesn't mean much to me. Every lady's gonna brag on her cooking. So you're just being a human.
Yeah, why not? I tried to be, at least. Done.
Matt, the thing about life is we joke, we have fun, and I always love having you on the show because you bring a whole sense of humor, a look back into the walk. And, I'm like you, I don't really pay much relevance to the sport these days because it is oversaturated. There is a few that I like to watch, but like Chris was saying, I had Ricky Simone, the 12th ranked fighter in the world, on my show, and he was offered the 5th, 6th, and 7th top ranked fighters in his division. And when he was on my show, I already knew who, because I deal with Dana and all of them, and Sean Shelby, so I already knew who his opponents were. But I said, who would Ricky Simone really like to face? And there's a gentleman that's ranked number 15 in the world, that being Jack Shore. And he comes from the little corner that Chris lives in. And that night, Jack Shore took to Twitter and he basically agreed to fight, wanted to fight Ricky Simone. Now, I had the fight poster. Well, Chris had the fight poster the very next day. 4 or 5 days later, the fight was signed because they felt it was the better opportunity. When you look at that part of it, put yourself in your shoes. If you were ranked number 12 in the world, which you would never be ranked that high, you'd be in the rank number 1 through 3. But let's say you were ranked number 12. Would Matt Hughes ever look back and fight a fighter that was ranked number 15? Because let's say you did, if you and you come out being taught a lesson, then your top 12 ranking would be gone. You would be 15th or 16th in the rankings. I like the idea that Ricky Simone took this fight, even though Jack Shore's behind him. What would Matt Hughes do in this type of situation? If you were ranked number 12 in the world, would you fight the 15th ranked fighter?
I'd have to listen to my manager and coaches on what to do. I always had a team to depend on, so I'd listen to them and make my decision after talking with them.
Yeah.
But
Matt,
all in all, that sounds like very dangerous to fight someone like that, because in this sport, anything can happen. You go out there, you lose him, then you lost so much of your credibility.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, if he wins, then he showed the world that he's not afraid to fight anybody, that he's truly understands his ability, his talent. Brother, I'm going to let Chris wrap things up here in a second, but I just want to thank you from my heart to you, bro, for giving a young lad an opportunity to come on his show and let him share you with a different side of the world. You Chris, Matt is just a tremendous man. We gave you a little bit of crap on the show, but that's what brotherhood is about.
Keep
That's
it
what
coming.
brotherhood is. Well, Matt loves to have fun. He does the same thing to me on my show. But the thing of it is he is better looking than me. I'll admit to that. He is better looking than me. But you know, I'll take him any day of the week in the octagon. I'll suplex him. I'll rear naked choke him.
Let's just be clear with everyone. There's talkers, and doers. Which one? Which one are you, Don?
I'm a doer, baby. You know that all day long.
Sitting here on this radio show that you have, you're a doer though.
Yes, sir. I'm a doer just like you, brother, and that's why I love having you in my life. You're a tremendous man in your walk. You've given so much to, not even just to sport. You've given to so much to everybody in life. And that's why I love you, man. I respect people that respect life and respect other individuals. And you're a class act, my brother. From my heart to you, thank you so much for coming on Big Fight Weekly with Chris, because we were there once. We all deserve an opportunity to shine. We all deserve an opportunity to learn. And so from me to you, from my heart to you, thank you for giving Big Fight Weekly this opportunity. I'm gonna let Chris wrap up, but I just want to let you know, brother, I love you, Matt. Thank you.
I love you too, Don. So, have a good day.
Well, still talk to Chris. He's gonna wrap things up.
Matt, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. I never think I thought to this day I'd actually be talking to someone like yourself. I've watched heavily through, the early days of the UFC. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything you would like to say to sound off Big Fight Weekly before you go?
If you like my interviews, stick on Big Fight Weekly because I'll be back.
You most definitely be back anytime, my friend. Just send me a message and we'll get you back on anytime.
Sounds like a plan. So
right.
Thanks to the people out there that watch my fights and put money in my pocket. So just
Yes.
while you, I wouldn't have been able to retire. So thanks everyone, and thank you too.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you,
honestly.
brother. I love you, brother. God bless you, and I'll talk to you shortly.
Take care.
Have a good day.
You too, brother. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
See you, mate. Don.
Well.
That was brilliant. Love Matt. Fantastic. I can take a sock to the face with ripping. It's no drama for me. Loved it. Loved it.
You know why he did that, bro? Is because he loves you. Matt is very forthwith. When he came on my show for the first time, he did the same to me. But it's all out of good fun. Matt is a tremendous. What's up, Aaron James East? But Matt's a great man. He really is. And if he didn't like you, yeah, Matt, he's a true legend. He's a brother that's been in my life for a long time. And, gosh, I'm glad all of you are showing Matt love because he truly deserves it. He had fun on today's show. Like I was telling you, Chris, the first time he actually came on was on my syndicated show, but then he came on my podcast and he gave me crap just like he did you. And the thing about it is it's because he appreciates you. And that's his way of joking around and showing you love. And, the more legends you interview, the more they'll joke with you. And tomorrow I'm looking forward to Ken Shamrock.
Yes.
We're going back to back with legends, and
we are.
But I wanted to have Matt on first because Matt's my brother. I love him. He's in my heart. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for the people of the United Kingdom to get to see a tremendous legend, a living legend, an icon of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
He's a man that is definitely, I agree. I think if he was to come back in the sport today, if they would medically clear him, he would show the sport who a true warrior is. A lot of people don't see the videos of him in the gym and the things that he correlates, but I got to tell you, his faculties are all there and then some. You know, he's a 100% dominating warrior. People don't realize he's still in the gym. He still trains. He's just a damn Mack truck. And if they would ever clear him, I guarantee you in a heartbeat he would be right back in the UFC. And people can clown on me for saying this, but I think if they would clear him, we would have another Glover Teixeira story. We would have a new world champion that people said, like with Glover, they said he never would be a world champion, retire. And I always told my brother, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, because as you know, I'm friends with him, his family. And I tell you what, man, he's got two big tasks ahead of him. But
we'll check her on the weekend, mate. It's a tough fight for Glover to share it.
Well, like Matt said, you know what? If he wins this fight, just go out on top. And that's coming from a legend who was taught a lesson on his way out. You know, so humility is straight from the heart with Matt Hughes. You know, brother, I'm just honored to be on the show with you, to be your mutual host.
Yeah.
And to help people in the UK get a better understanding of who these legends from past are, because you know, a lot of people don't realize I've been here since the beginning. You know, I was in boxing, and then I went to Pride and Glory and No Holds Barred. But my first actual UFC event, a lot of people are going to go, damn, this dude's old. What was in 1994 at the Grady Cole Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, and was UFC 3. So, I mean, put that in your pipe and smoke on it. I've been around a long time. You know, this month I'll be 60 years old, mate.
I wasn't even in high school then. When Matt had his very first fight, I only started high school in 1997. When Matt had his very first MMA fight. So, you know what I mean? You guys have been around. You've seen the world. You've seen people come up. You've seen people with this massive rocket up their arse, and then you see them disintegrate and disappear. You've seen everything. You know, you've been in front of the octagon yourself. You've taken pictures of some classic fights, some classic finishes, so, you know, fantastic submissions. You've been and seen it. Matt Hughes has been in the cage and lived it. So for people to come on to Big Fight Weekly now and see myself and Don McGuire, it's another piece of the process of this journey that I want to take on. And then, you know, I want you to be along with me, and especially everybody who watches us. You know, this isn't going to be the only legend. We do have Ken Shamrock Cisse tomorrow, but you know, there's going to be so much more content between the pair of us that we're going to flush out to these people.
This is just the beginning. You know, this is just the beginning. And I want to clarify something. You know, I don't see myself as a legend, but when legends call you a legend, you know, and you know, I've had my ass chewed out quite a bit, you know, by legends, you know, and they told me I was doing a disservice to the people that consider me a legend. You know, I'm just a man that I had love for the sport, passion for the sport. Dana White considers me to be one of the top 5 photographers in the world. Does that mean anything to me? No. Do awards mean anything? No. This was just a job that put food on my family's table. I walked away from 6 figures in the early 80s to walk into a sport that didn't pay. So with that being said, you know, the sport really doesn't pay today. I mean, yeah, I made a living off of it, but I've given 85% of what I make back to the sport. And it's because this is who I am. This is who I'm going to die being. But this opportunity on Big Fight Weekly and to be able to share some of the greatest legends in the sport with the UK and all over the world is what really truly sits in my heart. You know, the other was just a job. This is a passion.
Yeah, and honest to God, Don, I appreciate that you decided that, you know, you took a chance on doing it with me. So it's been nothing but a pleasure for me, you know, to learn from you and get these people on. But, you know, enjoy having a laugh with you, because this doesn't have to be serious. This doesn't have to always be about fighting. It just to be about you and I talking shit. And that's what I enjoy the most. If people could hear our conversations on the phone, I think they probably would have tuned out. But right, I'm going to leave it there because it's an hour now, and I want to obviously. It's a bit late for me now, isn't it? But